wide leaf plantain. There's some more wide leaf plantain. Here is sourdock. Oh, what else have we got here? There's got to be some narrow leaf plantain. I did see some Queen Anne's lace. Here it is. Here's some wild carrot or Queen Anne's lace. That's this one right here. Very palatable this time of year. Anyway, there's your salad bar. All right. And so those cows are getting a daily ability, okay, to be able to take their mouth and every one of these plants, some of them have tap roots, some have spreader roots, some concentrate different vitamins, different minerals, and so this gives that cow a whole diversified diet as opposed to just corn and soybeans, okay? And of course, this is what the cow wants to eat. Now the interesting thing is that, of course, those cows in nature, they don't eat grains. They don't eat grains, they certainly don't eat dead cows, and they don't eat chicken manure and dead chickens like, you know, we're feeding them right here in the Shenandoah Valley, not us, but other people. Those people. So what the cow does is take this and she puts it in her rumen, in her stomach, and ferments it like sauerkraut. Basically, an herbivore is a great big four-legged portable sauerkraut vat, a fermentation tank. Right? And thank you for that. Here's another one. This is Timothy. This is Timothy right here. Okay, we'll add some Timothy to it. All right. So, and here's some lemon weed. Cows love that little lemony taste. I'm still looking for my narrow leaf plantain. I know I got it in here, but I can't find one right now.
What about the weeds, like Jimson weed and some of the burdock and stuff? Is that a problem?
Burdock they eat up just fine. Yeah. They eat up if they're tightly held. So the idea with the cows is that if you study herbivores in nature, like wildebeest on the Serengeti, Cape buffalo in Botswana, if you study herbivores in nature, they exhibit three primary characteristics. One is they're always moving onto new ground. They're always mobbed up tight. They're not spread out all over the landscape. What keeps them mobbed up is, of course, predators. You know, there's a lion or a leopard or something in the bushes. And then they're mowing. They're not, you know, eating flesh and seeds and fermented grain or whatever. So they're mowing. So we take that moving, mobbing, and mowing like a template and lay it down on a commercial domestic production model and say, so how can we most closely approximate that moving, mobbing, and mowing that we see in herbivores in nature? So our technology is the electric fence. You know, this is our technology tool that allows us to mimic that natural template. So we're not Luddites, okay? This isn't Grandpa's farm. I can in 10 minutes show you 12 things that Grandpa would have given his left arm to have. One is electric fence, okay? So we live in wonderful times in which when we marry technology to indigenous heritage-based pattern, you get true symbiosis. In fact, more symbiosis than you do when you try to get it by, you know, concocting petroleum-based products or splicing genes or beaming irradiation in, or whatever else you want to do, okay? So we use technology as a natural massage as opposed to a prostitution idea. With me? A real different approach there. There's a lot of nuances in that phraseology. Now, the neat thing is that by controlling the access of the cows to the forage, we can let the forage go through its its blaze of growth period. I'll drop this bouquet. Isn't that pretty?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Oh, here's a wild onion. There you go. So we'll use him. All right. Grass goes through a sigmoid curve in production. Down here is where it's mowed or grazed. Then it starts growing slowly. I call this the diaper phase. And then it goes through its juvenile growth period. All right, I call that the teenager time. And then up here, it goes out toward finally eventuates in the nursing home grass. Okay? The point is that if you're trying to metabolize solar energy into biomass, where do you want that grass to be most of the time? Between my feet, yeah, teenage years, right? That juvenile rapid growth expression, obviously the amount of accumulated biomass per day is far more between my fingers than it is in diaper phase or nursing home phase. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. Okay. And so by controlling, with electric fence, controlling the timing of the access to the forage, we can make sure that they never touch forage until after the juvenile growth phase. Now, what that means is that we are accumulating way more biomass than somebody who's just continuous grazing, where the cows are always eating it right here when it's long enough to graze, but it hasn't gone through its energy equilibrium, you know, its rapid growth phase. So the bottom line is here in Augusta County, the average cow days per acre, that's the number of cow days that an acre can feed. A cow day is what one cow will eat in a day, all right? Mm-hmm. In our county, the average is 80 cow days per acre. In other words, that means an average acre would feed 80 cows for one day or one cow for 80 days in a year. Everybody follow me? Our average here is 400 cow days per acre. And we have not planted a seed or bought a bag of chemical fertilizer in 50 years. Okay? It works. It works. Now, we call this mob stocking, herbivorous solar conversion, lignified carbon sequestration fertilization.
Oh, wow.
And if everybody who had cows in the U.S. would practice that model, it so invigorates and converts solar into carbon that in fewer than 10 years, we would sequester all the carbon that's been emitted since the beginning of the industrial age.
Wow.
That's how fast this can happen, okay? But you know, you will hear all sorts of strange government-approved, granted, you know, high-cost Rube Goldberg solutions because this just puts money in the farmer's pocket, and in our culture, farmers don't deserve any money. You know, we've got a culture that thinks if you're going to be a farmer, you've got to be you certainly can't be an A or a B student. If you're an A or B student, you know, you got to go to town and get a real job, be a professional white collar 401k, Dilbert cubicle person. And only the ones that don't have any brains, you know, they can stay on the farm, you know. So I'm all about trying to reinvigorate this notion of the professional, of the Jeffersonian intellectual agrarian. You know, why don't we entrust our food, for crying out loud, to the best and brightest in our culture, instead of saying, well, the dregs of society can do that. You know, we don't do that. We don't do that in anything else besides food. And so, our food health will mirror the the attitude that we have toward our farmers. And you'll know, folks, if you want a benchmark to know when's this tip over, when's this going to happen, well, it'll happen the next time you go to a soccer game, a little league soccer game, and all the soccer moms are all out there, you know, with their chests all stuck out, strutting their stuff, you know, and bragging about their little child prodigies to everybody. And one of them has the unmitigated gall, the sheer unabashed, courage to tell the other gals there, the other soccer moms, well, my Johnny or Mary is going to grow up and be a farmer. and all the other soccer moms turn around and say, wow, cool, awesome. That'll be when we know we've turned a corner.